I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of lying.
Then leave.
The night I was raped, my husband Lucas was just one wall away. Lucas has had a hearing impairment since childhood, relying entirely on the behind his ear to hear the outside world. But every time we fought and he didn't want to face me, he would take it off. That night, I blocked his way, my voice shaking.
Lucas, I have a hospital appointment today, and you promised to go with me.
He looked down at his phone. On the screen was a message from Serena. There's a problem with the medical records. The director is furious and looking for someone to blame. Can you come back right now and help me fix it?
Her again?
Lucas frowned.
Ava, she's just a colleague.
I laughed.
Just a colleague?
On our anniversary, she had a fever and you ditched me to bring her medicine. When my mother was in surgery, she said she was scared of the night shift, so you went to keep her company. Now I'm going to the hospital for a checkup, and with just one text, you're leaving again.
His face darkened.
Do you really have to be unreasonable at a time like this?
Who is the one being unreasonable here?
I stared at him.
Am I your wife, or is she?
You're too emotional right now. We can't communicate.
He finished speaking, reached up, and took off his hearing aid.
Lucas, don't take it off!
He didn't look at me.
I don't want to fight right now.
I'm not trying to fight with you. I really need to go to the hospital.
He put the hearing aid in his pocket and turned toward the elevators.
Lucas, I might be pregnant!
He stopped for a second, then kept walking.
Lucas!
He didn't look back. Right at that moment, two men reeking of alcohol stepped out from behind a concrete pillar and approached me.
Hey, little lady. You all alone?
I took a step back.
Don't come any closer.
One of them smirked.
Call your husband. Didn't he just leave?
My face turned pale, and I turned and ran. But I didn't make it out. They grabbed me from both sides. The stench of alcohol so suffocating I could barely breathe.
Help!
One of them cursed in a low voice.
Lucas!
Shut up!
I saw him. He was right there, just around the corner of the parking garage.
Lucas, help me!
He turned his face away. Tears immediately welled up in my eyes.
It's me! Ava! Look at me!
He frowned, as if he had heard something. I reached out desperately.
Lucas!
I screamed until my throat tore.
Don't go! Please don't go!
The elevator doors slowly began to close. I stared at the narrowing gap, shaking my head frantically.
No!
The doors closed completely. The whole world went quiet. The man behind me laughed.
Scream. Why aren't you screaming anymore?
I struggled violently.
Don't touch me! I'll call the police! I swear I'll call the police!
That's if you can even get out.
The heavy door to the fire stairwell was slammed shut from the inside. With a loud bang, Lucas and I were separated into two completely different worlds.
Please,
My voice shook so badly it didn't even sound like me.
don't do this!
No one listened. No one came back. I desperately shielded my stomach, my voice shattering into pieces.
Please don't hurt my baby!
Later, when I dragged my freezing body back to the apartment, Lucas was sitting in his study. His head was down, staring at the screen showing Serena's medical records.
Lucas.
He didn't look up.
Yeah.
I leaned against the doorframe, my fingers shaking so badly I could barely stand.
I was assaulted.
The sound of typing didn't stop.
Yeah, my bad.
I looked at the hearing aid sitting on the desk. It laid there quietly. Lucas hadn't heard a single word I said. Come with me to the police station. He kept his eyes glued to the computer.
Won't happen next time.
I suddenly laughed. He heard me, but he wasn't listening at all. I laughed until my eyes sting, but not a single tear fell.
Lucas.
Yeah.
Let's get a divorce.
He typed the last word.
Let's not fight anymore.
He was still talking completely past me. Realizing I wasn't arguing back like I usually did, Lucas finally sensed something was wrong and put his hearing aid back on. He looked up at me, his brows instantly frowning.
Ava, why are you so dirty? Is that blood?
My voice was dead calm. I took a fall.
It's just a checkup. You could have gone by yourself.
His tone was impatient.
I was just helping Serena out with some work at the last minute. Did you really have to do this to yourself?
I looked at him. So in his eyes, even when I was bruised and battered like this, it was just me throwing a tantrum for attention. He frowned.
Go wash up. You know I'm a germaphobic.
I didn't answer. I grabbed my pajamas and walked into the bathroom. As the cold water poured down from overhead, I looked at myself in the mirror. My neck, my shoulders, my arms, covered in bruises. The next second, a sudden, heavy cramp hit my lower abdomen. I looked down. On the white tiles, a glaring patch of bright red slowly spread. I froze completely. Just this morning, I had taken a pregnancy test and saw 2 red lines. I was afraid it was a false alarm, so I told Lucas I wanted to go to the hospital for a checkup. But the moment we reached the underground garage, Serena called. She said there was a mistake in the medical records. The director was furious, and she begged Lucas to come back right away to fix it for her. In the bathroom, the blood was still dripping. In the living room, Lucas was on the phone with Serena. His voice was so gentle he sounded like a completely different person.
I fixed the files for you. Just print out a new copy.
On the other end of the line, Serena laughed sweetly. Thank you, my Lucas. With you around, I never have to be afraid of anything. I stood in the bedroom doorway, watching him look down and smile. It turned out he wasn't incapable of being gentle. He just never saved any of it for me. I went back into the room and changed into a turtleneck sweater to hide the marks on my neck. Then I contacted a lawyer and asked her to draft the divorce papers. After doing all of that, I grabbed my phone, called a cab, and went to the hospital. It was nearly 1 a.m. in the ER waiting room, so empty that all you could hear were footsteps. A nurse saw how deathly paled I was and immediately rushed over to support me. Ma'am, where is your family? I thought of Lucas. He was probably still listening to Serena talk. I opened my mouth. I don't have any family here. The nurse didn't ask any more questions. She just helped me into the examination room. The ultrasound room was freezing. The doctor stared at the screen for a few seconds, her voice softening. Miss Lynn, the embryo is in very poor condition. It's not viable. I couldn't process it. What? She took off her gloves. You are having a miscarriage. We need to perform a procedure immediately. In that moment, every sound in my head just vanished. The nurse handed me a consent form. Can the father of the child come and sign this? I stared down on the emergency contact section. It took me a long while before I asked, I don't have any family here. Can I sign it myself? The nurse was silent for a few seconds.
Yes, but you'll need to sign a liability waiver.
I took the pen. Ava Lynn. Writing those words felt like a piece of me was being hollowed out. Lucas, we have absolutely nothing tying us together anymore. Walking past the maternity wound, I saw a girl crying just from getting her blood drawn. Her husband was crouching beside her, comforting her.
Don't be scared. I'm right here. As soon as this is done, we're going home.
I looked away, staring at the needle prick on the back of my own hand. But in our 3 years of marriage, every time I got sick, Serena somehow always ended up sicker than me. Even though she was a doctor herself, Lucas always said she was fragile and needed taking care of far more than I did. When I woke up from the procedure, dawn was breaking. On my phone, there was only one text from Lucas, sent at 3 a.m.
Where did you go?
Right beneath it was a social media update from Serena. In the photo, she was in a karaoke booth, holding a microphone and singing right into Lucas's ear. Lucas, wearing his hearing aid, was looking at her with absolute indulgence. I used to love humming softly in his ear too, but every single time he would take off his hearing aid and say he couldn't stand the high-pitched noise. Turns out it wasn't the noise he couldn't stand, it was just my voice. I dialed Lucas's number. It was loud on his end. I didn't yell and I didn't cry. I simply said, Lucas, come with me to the police station later. He paused.
The police station? Are you still going on about the ring?
2 weeks ago, he lost his wedding ring. He told me it was lost and that was that. He'd just buy a new one eventually. But I couldn't let it go. Just as I was about to speak, I heard Serena's voice. Lucas, it's so rare for us to have a day off together. You promised to go shopping with me. A moment later, Lucas spoke again.
Ava, the ring has been missing for a while now. It's gone. It's really not that big of a deal. If you absolutely have to go, I'll go with you tomorrow.
I stared at the stark white walls of the hospital room and let out a dry laugh. Is going shopping with Serena a big deal? He went silent. I said every word carefully. Lucas, I was assaulted? Do you think that's not a big deal either? The other end of the line was dead quiet for a long time. I knew he had turned off his hearing aid again, but this time, I simply saved the call recording and hung up. Then, I went to the police station alone. The female officer handed me a cup of hot water. You are incredibly brave for coming in here. It was such a gentle sentence, yet it carried more weight than every half-hearted apology Lucas had given me in 3 years. She stayed with me while I gave my statement, arranged for the forensic exam, and pulled the security footage. At every step, she would ask me first, "Are you okay to keep going?" Even a stranger knew to give me a choice, but my own husband only knew how to put me on mute. The police asked, "Was your husband present at the scene?" I was silent for a long time. "Yes." "And he didn't hear anything?" I remembered the way Lucas reached up to take off his hearing aid. "He said he didn't want to hear anything." By the time I walked out of the police station, the sun was fully up. The coffee shop on the corner had just opened. Pedestrians hurried by holding hot coffee, acting as if nothing in the world had happened. But I knew some things had stopped forever last night. I went back to the apartment, took the medical records, the receipts, the surgical consent form, and the police report receipt and stuffed them into a file folder. I slid it into the top drawer of Lucas's desk in the study. After all, that child had belonged to him too. He deserved to at least know the child had existed. At 11 p.m., Lucas came home. He was texting on his phone while taking off his shoes. When he saw me, the first thing he said was,
Where exactly did you go last night?
I sat on the couch and didn't answer. He held his phone out to me.
I'm not blaming you. It's not safe out there. I was just worried.
On the screen was the building's resident group chat. People were talking about an incident in the underground garage the night before, saying the police had come to pull security footage. Lucas frowned.
See? Someone in our building was attacked. From now on, at least tell me when you leave the house.
I looked up at him. Lucas, what if I told you that person was me? He froze for a second, then his face darkened.
All right, Ava, that's not funny at all.
Suddenly, I completely lost the energy to explain anything. He didn't believe me. Even when I was deathly pain and covered in bruises, he still didn't believe me. He just reached over and ruffled my hair.
Don't make me worry like that again.
With that, he walked into the bathroom. His phone was left on the coffee table, the screen lighting up nonstop. She was texting his phone indefinite. You said you'd listen to every single word I say, and you really kept your word. I stared at those two messages, and the very last trace of warmth in my heart completely dissipated. Lucas came out of the shower, glanced at his phone, and then looked at me. This time, he didn't reply to Serena immediately. Instead, he lay down behind me and reached out to hug me.
How were the checkup results?
I closed my eyes. Fine. He let out a breath of relief. I spoke up suddenly. Lucas, let's get a divorce. This time, he was wearing his hearing aid. He heard me loud and clear.
I was assaulted, and I lost the baby. I don't want to waste any more time with you.
His face instantly darkened.
Ava, you're throwing a 10 like this now?
As he spoke, his hand consciously reached up behind his ear. The next second, he took off his hearing again. Watching that familiar motion, a profound silence washed over me. It wasn't that he couldn't hear, it was that he chose not to listen. And finally, I didn't want to speak anymore. After that night, I never tried to explain again. For someone who wants to hear the truth, I shouldn't have to rip my wounds wide open to prove it. I curled up on the edge of the bed and heard his phone chime again. Is your wife still mad? Do you want me to explain things to her tomorrow? Lucas didn't reply immediately, but I knew he would, eventually, because in these 3 years, he had never made Serena wait for long. The next morning, he went to the hospital as usual. Before leaving, he stood by the door and glanced at me.
I might not come home tonight. Serena's files still need some adjusting.
I sat at the dining table, drinking a glass of cold water. Okay. He seemed surprised that I agreed so easily, his brows fallowing.
Don't start overthinking things again.
I won't.
Ava.
He called my name. I looked up. He hesitated for a few seconds before saying,
Those things you said last night, let's talk about it when you've calmed down.
I smiled slightly. Okay. After the door closed, I stood up and dragged the suitcase I had packed a long time ago. There weren't many things in this house that belonged to me. A few clothes, some books, a cardboard box of photo albums. I didn't take the potted plants. I didn't want to be around to watch them wither. I signed the divorce papers my lawyer sent over and left them in the most obvious spot in the living room. Before walking out of the apartment, I took one last look at the study. Inside the drawer, that file packet lay quietly. The medical records, the payment receipts, the miscarriage consent form, the police report receipt. I didn't pull them out for him. The person who needs to know will know sooner or later. And I was done waiting for him to finally look. I moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. The place was small with a convenience store downstairs, and from the window I could see a completely ordinary street. Cars drove by constantly at night, but the noise brought me more peace than Lucas's apartment ever did. At least here, no one was going to take off their hearing aid the second I started to speak. My lawyer's name was Anna Morrison. She was in her early 40s, with short hair and a razor-sharp gaze. The first time we met, she didn't ask me why I waited this long to leave, and she didn't ask why I didn't call the police sooner. She just slid a stack of documents across the table.
Ava, the opposing counsel is likely going to attack your emotional stability next.
I nodded. I know. For the past 3 years, Lucas' favorite thing to say was that I was emotionally unstable. When I felt wronged, when I was jealous, when I just wanted to communicate, it was all labeled unstable. Even when I told him I was assaulted, he thought I was just making a scene.
But you have to remember, having emotions isn't a crime.
Anna looked at me, her voice softening.
Crying, feeling terrified, getting angry, or breaking down after being traumatized are all normal human reactions.
The ones who truly need to explain themselves aren't you for breaking down. It's them for hurting you. I looked down at the pen in my hand, my eyes burning. I used to always worry that I was too loud.
That's because someone conditioned you to believe that your normal expression was just noise. But in a courtroom, your voice is testimony.
Testimony. That word sent a shockwave through my chest. It turned out my voice wasn't a burden. It was a tool that pointed straight to the truth. On the day of the trial, the courthouse entrance was swarming with media. The assault had taken place in the underground garage of a luxury apartment complex, and because it resulted in a miscarriage, the local news stations had been covering it non-stop.
Do you want to avoid the reporters?
Anna asked me. I looked at the cameras waiting at the bottom of the steps and shook my head.
No.
The reporters swarmed us.
Miss Lynn, did you fight back?
Yes.
Did you call for help?
Yes.
Was there no one else around?
I was silent for a few seconds.
There was.
A reporter's voice flared with anger.
Why didn't that person call the police? Why didn't they help you?
I said softly. He was my husband. The entire crowd fell dead silent. He took off his hearing aid. He couldn't hear me. With every word I spoke, it felt like I was walking right back into that dark garage. But this time, I didn't collapse. At that exact moment, Lucas was doing rounds in a patient ward at St. Luke's Medical Center. Anna told me about this later. That day, the television in the ward was broadcasting the live feed from the courthouse. A few patients were gathered around watching the news.
That poor girl had it so rough. I heard she was even pregnant at the time. Her husband was right there? How could anyone be that heartless?
Someone noticed Lucas and asked casually, "Dr. Hale, don't you live in that apartment complex too?" The TV screen cut straight to a close-up of my face. I was standing the courthouse steps, saying,
He took off his hearing aid. He couldn't hear me.
The capaboard in Lucas's hand hit the floor with a clatter. One of the patients whispered,
Dr. Hale, that husband on the news, is that really you?
He didn't answer.
She was screaming for help.
Another patient couldn't hold back.
Even if he couldn't hear, shouldn't he have at least turned around to look?
He turned and walked out. That sense acted like a needle, popping the very last shred of his dignity. A nurse chased after him, reminding him that he hadn't checked the next room yet. He acted like he didn't hear her and bolted straight into the elevator. After that day, the whispers about him around the hospital could no longer be contained. Some people said they pitied him, that with his bad hearing, maybe he genuinely didn't hear anything. Others said that not being able to hear isn't a crime, but actively taking off your hearing aid is a choice not to listen. When Lucas rushed out of the hospital, he hadn't even taken off his white coat. He kept calling me over and over again, once, twice, 3 times. Every single call was met with a cold, dead dial tone. It probably took him a long time to realize that I wasn't busy. I had blocked his number. Phone calls, text messages, social media accounts, blocked across the board. The live broadcast was still going. On the screen, protected by my lawyer, I walked into the courthouse. I looked pale, but my back was straight. Those few sentences echoed on a loop in his head. I was assaulted. I lost the baby. He took off his hearing aid. He couldn't hear me. When Lucas got home, the apartment was empty. My toothbrush, my slippers, my books, my coats, all gone. There were no sticky notes on the fridge. Only an empty flower pot remained on the balcony. Finally, he saw the divorce papers sitting on the coffee table. And then, inside the study drawer, he found the file folder. The medical records, the payment receipts, the surgical consent form, the police report receipt, and that ultrasounded report, the paper warped and stained with dried blood. The folded slipped from his hands onto the floor. The man who could calmly orchestrate life-saving procedures on an operating table fell to his knees on the hardwood floor, crying so hard for the first time in his life that no sound came out. 2 weeks later, Lucas found the apartment I was renting. It was evening, and I had just gotten back from a follow-up appointment at the hospital. The doctor told me that the trauma and the surgery had taken a heavy toll on my body, and getting pregnant again in the future would be extremely difficult. As I walked out of the hospital clutching the medical report, I saw a mother waiting for a bus, holding her child. The little girl was maybe 2 or 3 years old, burying her face affectionately into her mother's neck. I stood there watching for a long time. It wasn't until the bus drove away that I realized my face was covered in tears. When I got back to the street below my apartment, Lucas was standing by the street lamp. He looked completely hollowed out. His jaw was covered in dark stubble, and his shirt was terribly wrinkled. He looked like he had aged 10 years. The moment he saw me, his eyes went red.
Ava.
He reached out, wanting to hug me, but his hands froze midair. I stood 3 steps away from him. "What are you doing here?" His voice was incredibly horky.
I know everything now.
I didn't say a word. He was holding that file foldet in his hand.
Ava, why didn't you tell me?
I laughed. "I did tell you." His eyes trembled.
I told you on the phone. I told you in the bedroom. I even stood right and said it to your face, twice. You just didn't believe me. And you chose not to listen.
Lucas opened his mouth, but couldn't force a single word out. Looking at him, I realized I didn't even want answers anymore. I used to always want to ask him why. Why could he abandon me on our anniversary? Why, when my mother was in surgery, could he leave just because Selena said she was scared? But now, I didn't want to ask anymore. The answer had been right there all along. It wasn't that he didn't know how to love someone. He just didn't love me. Lucas looked down at the folder in his hands, his voice trembling.
I went to the hospital. The doctor said you signed the papers alone, and you went through the surgery alone.
Yes.
Why didn't you wait for me?
Wait for you to do what? Wait for you to finish shopping? Wait for you to put your hearing aid back on? Or wait until you finally believed that I wasn't using a miscarriage to throw a tantrum for your attention? Lucas, as I was lying on that operating table, when the anesthesia was being injected into my veins, I was still wondering if you would be sad if you knew we lost the baby. Then I realized how pathetic I was, because you didn't even know the baby existed in the first place.
He snapped his head up, his eyes entirely consumed by agony.
Ava.
Don't call my name!
I took a step back.
Every time you say my name right now, all I can think about is that night. I screamed for you with everything I had, and you never turned around.
It was as if that sentence physically struck him. He stumbled backward. I watched his hand instinctively reach up behind his ear. But this time, he didn't take it off. He just pressed his hand hard against the hearing aid, like a man gripping an instrument of torture he could no longer escape from. Lucas stood frozen in place, tears falling one by one. It was the first time I had ever seen him cried. In the past, he was always restrained, detached, and as cold as a stone. But now, standing in front of me, he cried like a man who was finally hearing an echo that arrived far too late.
I'm sorry.
He choked out.
Does "I'm sorry" fix anything?
I gripped my follow-up report until the paper crumpled in my fist.
Can it bring my baby back?
His body visibly swayed.
I was pregnant with your child, Lucas. I had just gotten the positive test that very morning. I was afraid it was a false alarm, so I told you I wanted to go to the hospital for a checkup. I was going to surprise you. But you had to go fix Serena's medical records. You made your choice. You chose her, and you discarded me and the baby.
He took a half step back, his voice rasping as he instinctively tried to explain.
I didn't know. I really didn't know.
Yeah, you didn't know. I looked at him.
You don't know how much blood I lost that night? You don't know how terrified I was signing that consent form all by myself.
You don't know that even as the operating room doors closed, I was still hoping you would walk through them. And the things you don't know, you are never going to know. Lucas, we're done. With that, I turned around to leave. Suddenly, he lunged forward and threw his arms at me from behind.
Ava, please don't leave.
His voice was shaking violently.
I know I was wrong. I swear I'll never take my hearing aid off again. Whatever you say, I'll listen. I'll never think you're annoying, and I'll never leave you alone again.
Tears, scalding hot, dropped onto the back of my neck. I stood completely still. I didn't push him away, and I didn't look back. In our first year of marriage, I told you that my greatest fear wasn't that you didn't love me, but that you didn't even have the patience to listen to me speak. You told me you'd change, but the second year you stayed exactly the same, and the third year you were still doing it. I pried his fingers off me, one by one. Everyone's patience has a limit, and my patience was worn out by you a long time ago. He held on tight, as if he wanted to crush me into his bones, but the tighter he held on, the more clearly I knew I was never staying. Once upon a time, I used to fantasize about him begging me to stay like this, but now that the day was actually here, all I felt was exhaustion. It was too late. A belated display of profound love is like expired medicine. It can't cure tissue that's already dead. I finally pried off his very last finger. As I walked into the stairwell, I could still hear him outside, screaming my name over and over again. I leaned against the freezing concrete wall, tilted my head back, and forced my tears back down. Don't look back, Ava. If you look back even once, you are truly failing yourself. The next morning, I pulled back the curtains and saw Lucas still standing downstairs. His clothes were damp with dew, and his lips were purple from the cold. He stood there like a silent stone. I don't know what time he finally left. He probably finally gave up. But when I went out that afternoon, there was an insulated bag sitting on my front steps. Inside was a container of still steaming oatmeal, pinning down a sticky note. Remember to eat breakfast. Your body is still recovering. Lucas's handwriting was beautiful, as neat and structured as print. In our first year of marriage, I asked him to write me a sticky note every day, even if it just said good morning. He said it was too much of a hassle, yet he was more than willing to stay up all night writing surgical plans for Serena. I dumped the oatmeal straight into the trash can. Now, he was willing to write them for me. But I didn't want them anymore. In the days that followed, Lucas acted like a completely different person. He came to my building every single day. Sometimes he brought breakfast, sometimes medicine, sometimes a bouquet of flowers. He didn't knock on my door, and he didn't come upstairs. He just stood under the street lamp, staring up at my window from a few floors down. I didn't open the door, I didn't see him, and I didn't reply to his texts. He used different phone numbers to text me, and I blocked them all without even reading them. Eventually, he stopped texting and started writing letters. He slid them under my door, one envelope after another. I didn't open a single one. I just piled them on the shoe cabinet. One night I came home and noticed the letters were gone. My elderly neighbor poked her head out of her door, looking a bit apologetic.
Oh, honey, I saw a bunch of scrap paper piled up by your door, so I threw it out for you.
I smiled. It's fine. It wasn't anything important anyway. On the 7th day, Serena showed up at my door. Wearing a cream-colored trench coat and flawless makeup, she stood outside my rundown apartment and smiled gently. Ava, can we talk? I leaned against the doorframe and looked at her. I used to hate her. I hated that she always showed up exactly when I needed Lucas most, and I hated that she refused to set boundaries even though she knew Lucas was married. But now, I didn't hate her anymore. First, I no longer cared about Lucas. Second, holding a grudge is just too exhausting. Talk about what? She bit her lip. Lucas hasn't been doing well lately. He almost caused a few medical accidents at the hospital. The department chief has already suspended him from the operating room. I said nothing. Are you really going to divorce him? When she asked that, his serene wearing and subtract quickly. She suppressed it quickly, but I caught it. Yes. She seemed surprised by how calm I was.
Ava, I know you hate me.
I don't hate you.
Then why do you insist on doing this? Lucas is in so much pain right now.
I cut her off. Serena, do you realize that my problems with him were never about you? She froze. Even if it wasn't you, it would have been some other woman. He treated me coldly not because you're better than me, but because he simply didn't see me as someone who mattered.
You can keep hovering around him. Wait until the day comes when he puts your texts on mute too, when he thinks you're just acting out when you're sick, and when he takes his hearing aid off while you're talking. When that time comes, you'll understand that Lucas was never a prize worth fighting for.
Serena's face drained of color. The expression on her face before she walked away was incredibly ugly. It wasn't the pale look of guilt. It was the sheer embarrassment of having her delusions shattered. I knew her too well. She didn't love Lucas. She loved the thrill of victory that came from him constantly prioritizing her over his wife. Every time she posted photos or ambiguous updates, she was reminding me, look, he's your husband, but he still listens to me. It used to hurt. Now, it was just tiresome. That night, for the first time, I finally sat down to organize my old belongings. Lucas hadn't given me many gifts. Most of them were perfumes and necklaces his secretary had bought for him during the holidays, accompanied by cards with a pre-printed Happy Holidays. I tossed them into a cardboard box, one by one. At the very bottom, I found a small glass vials. Inside it was a single dried daisy petal. I had plucked it from my bouquet on our wedding day as a keepsake. Back then, Lucas had no sense of romance. The moment the ceremony ended, he rushed back to the hospital to work overtime. I carried my bouquet home alone and texted him. The flowers are beautiful today. Let's look at them together when you get back. He didn't come home until 3 a.m. His first words when he walked through the door were,
Why aren't you asleep yet?
He didn't look at the flowers. And he didn't look at me. I held the small glass vase in my hand and let out a soft laugh. It turns out a lot of endings are written right from the very beginning. I was just too desperate to be loved back then to let myself see it. I tossed the glass vial into the trash can. It landed with a sharp clink, like a long overdue goodbye. A few days later, the hospital's investigation results were released. Lucas' surgical privileges were officially suspended, and he was ordered to undergo a psychological evaluation. Serena received a public reprimand from the department head for violating protocols by having someone else alter her medical records. She posted a lengthy rant on social media, heavily implying between the lines that I was using public opinion to destroy two doctors' careers. I didn't engage. Anna simply sent her a cease and desist letter. It demanded she stop spreading defamatory rumors, or we would press charges. Maybe out of guilt, or maybe because he couldn't face the truth any longer. Lucas finally signed the divorce papers. The process was swift. We met at the Family Affairs office near Boston City Hall. It was the first time I had officially seen him in the month since we separated. He looked skeletal, his eyes sunken and his lips cracked. He was wearing the dark blue shirt I had bought him. A button was missing from the cuff.
Ava,
I ignored him.
are you completely sure about this?
I placed my ID directly on the counter. Let's go inside. Signing the papers, confirming the division of assets, submitting the documents. In less than half an hour, our 3-year marriage came to an end. When I walked out of the building, the sun was brilliant, warming my skin. I took a deep breath, and it felt like a boulder that had been crushing my chest for 3 years had finally been lifted away.
Ava,
Lucas called to me from behind. I stopped walking,
can I hug you one last time?
but I didn't look back. No. I stepped forward and walked away. After the divorce, I started a new life. I found a job as an editor at an independent publishing house, overseeing non-Cockford titles. The pay wasn't high, but it was enough to support myself. The apartment I rented was small. I painted the walls light blue and filled the balcony with pothorus plants. Life was simple and peaceful. Occasionally, I would still think about the child I was never meant to have. I'd think about that morning when I saw the 2 red lines on the pregnancy test, crying and laughing all by myself in the bathroom. I'd wonder what the baby would have looked like, whether their eyes would have looked like Luca's or like mine. The baby was gone and the marriage was over, but I was still here. As long as I was alive, everything could start anew. 2 months later, I came home from work and saw a familiar silhouette downstairs. Lucas stood under the streetlight, holding a bouquet of white daisies. Seeing me, he quickly walked over.
Ava,
How did you know I lived here?
I asked your coworker.
His tone was cautious.
Please don't be mad. I just wanted to see you.
You've seen me. You can leave now.
I stepped around him and kept walking. He followed behind me, keeping exactly 3 steps away.
I quit my job.
He said. I paused for a second.
I almost caused several more medical errors. The chief said I'm not fit for the operating room right now. I'm working as a general practitioner at a community clinic now.
I didn't turn around.
I sold the house, too.
His voice dropped lower.
It was too big. Living in it alone, it was so cold.
I stopped and turned to look at him. Lucas, what exactly are you trying to say? He looked at me, his eyes bloodshot. His lips trembled for a long time before he finally forced out a sentence.
I miss you.
The street lamp cast his shadow right at my feet. I thought my heart would soften, but I felt absolutely nothing.
Go home and don't come back, I said.
Ava, I love you.
Lucas, listen to me. I looked him dead in the eyes, speaking every word clearly. I don't hate you, but I don't love you anymore either. Loving someone is too exhausting. I don't want to love you anymore. He stood there, looking as if he had just been punched in the gut.
I'm sorry.
He kept repeating the same few words.
It's all my fault.
You were at fault, but so was I. My voice was quiet. My mistake was constantly making excuses for you. I told myself your silence was just your personality. Your neglect was just you not knowing how to express yourself. And your coldness was just you being under too much stress.
But Lucas, a person can't spend their entire life surviving on the excuses they make for someone else.
After that day, I never saw him again. Work at the publishing house was busy. I began focusing on manuscripts about trauma recovery, women's empowerment, and legal aid. The first time I finished reading a survivor's memoir, I cried in my office for a long time. My editor-in-chief came in and simply handed me a tissue.
Do you want to run this series?
I wiped my tears.
Yes.
So I began meeting more people who were just like me. Some had been chronically neglected in their marriages. Some were trapped in silent abuse. Some had been hurt and were still being asked, "Why didn't you ask for help sooner?" I edited their stories into books. I stripped away the sensationalism and left their dignity intact. Sometimes, when an interview ended, the person would hold my hand and say, "Thank you for letting me finish." Every time that happened, I thought of Lucas. I didn't realize that simply being allowed to finish a sentence was such a precious thing. I met a girl named Maya. She was 26 and had been constantly belittled by her boyfriend. Her boyfriend always told her she was too stupid, too sensitive, and that if she left him, no one else would ever want her. When she came to see me, she was clutching a stack of printed papers, breakup letters she had written and deleted over the years. She asked me,
Ava, am I just too much of a coward?
I looked at her, seeing the version of myself from years ago. "No," I told her. "You've just been trapped for so long that you forgot where the door is." She cried for a long time. Eventually, she wrote an essay about her experience. The title was, "I'm Not Too Loud, I'm Just Alive." When the article was published, we received a flood of letters from readers. Someone wrote that the silent treatment is just another form of violence. Someone wrote that when you're neglected for long enough, you truly begin to doubt if you even deserve to be loved. Someone wrote that she had finally replaced the phrase, "We need to talk," with, "I am leaving." I read them one by one, and suddenly felt that my pain hadn't just rotted away inside me for nothing. It had almost dragged me under once, but later, it turned into a lantern. It wasn't very bright, but it was enough to show the exit to other people walking through the same dark night. My editor-in-chief said to me,
Ava, you've changed.
I asked, "How so?" She thought about it.
You used to always check people's expressions before you spoke. You don't do that anymore.
I paused. It seemed I was slowly breaking that habit, too. Back when I was with Lucas, before every sentence I spoke, I would first read his expression. If he frowned, I would shut up. If he was silent, I would apologize. If he reached for his hearing aid, I would panic, completely at a loss. Now, I could finally finish a sentence from beginning to end, without waiting for anyone's permission, and without fearing that someone fearing would hit the mute button on me. 3 months later, I was promoted to project lead. The company gave me my own office. It wasn't huge, but the window faced south. One day during lunch break, my coworker leaned in secretly.
Ava, have you been married before?
My hand, holding my fork, paused. Why? I came across a viral post online. The author's username is Silenced Ears. It's incredibly heartbreaking. I cried reading it. But so many details in it, they sound exactly like you. She handed me her phone. It's not me. I didn't click on it, but that afternoon, I sat in my office, staring blankly at my computer screen for a long time. Ultimately, I opened the article. In the post, Lucas wrote about many things I never knew. He wrote that in our first year of marriage, he genuinely loved me. He was just clumsy and didn't know how to express it. After his childhood accident, he got used to blocking out the noise, and in doing so, he pushed people away too. He wrote that the first time he took off his hearing aid, he wasn't trying to shut me out because I was annoying. He was just terrified of fighting. He didn't realize until it was too late that refusing to communicate cuts far deeper than arguing. He wrote that that night in the underground garage, he truly didn't hear me. If he had heard me, he would have rushed back. He would have fought with his life to protect me. He wrote that losing the baby was a hurdle he would never be able to overcome for the rest of his life. Every night, he dreamed of a little girl calling him daddy. He would reach out to hold her, but she would shatter into fragments of light. The very last sentence was, Ava, if there is a next life, it will be my turn to do the talking, and I will let you listen. My tears splashed onto my phone screen, and no matter how much I wiped, I couldn't get it clean. I closed the web page, wiped my tears away, and went back to work. Lucas's long post was quickly shared everywhere. Some people said he was deeply devoted. Some cursed him, saying a belated confession of guilt was entirely worthless. Others dug up Serena's old, ambiguous social media posts. At first, Serena tried to defend herself. She claimed she and Lucas were just longtime friends, and that I was blaming her for my own failed marriage. I was discussing the settlement for the assault case with Anna when I saw her post. Anna asked,
Should we respond?
I said, release the evidence. That night, a cease and desist letter along with dozens of screenshots went public. The messages of Serena demanding Lucas stay with her the night my mother was in surgery. The GPS location showing Lucas bringing her medicine on our anniversary. The photo of her singing in the karaoke booth with Lucas, sent on the exact day of my miscarriage. And the posts where she insinuated to everyone that I was mentally unstable. But the fatal blow was the chat log proving she had privately begged Lucas to alter her medical records. St. Luke's Medical Center immediately launched an internal investigation. Serena was suspended. Lucas was also called in for questioning by the medical board for multiple violations of medical record protocols. After Lucas's post went viral, I received countless private messages from strangers. Some tried to persuade me to forgive him. They said he was clearly so remorseful, and it wasn't easy for a man to cry like that. Some called me heartless. They said he was hearing impaired to begin with, and it was cruel of me to put his disability on trial. And some spoke in a patronizingly gentle tone. Ava, he just doesn't know how to love. You should teach him. Reading those words, I felt nothing but absurdity. Why does society always expect a woman to spend her entire life teaching a man how to love? I had already tried teaching him. I used 3 years of marriage, countless disappointments, tears, waiting, and forgiveness to teach him. In the end, I even used the loss of my child to teach him, but by the time he finally learned, I no longer wanted to be his teacher. I didn't issue a public response. I just wrote an article for my own column. The title was, "Not all belated apologies are meant to be accepted." I wrote, "Some people only realize what they had after they lose it. But the person they lost isn't just a tool for their personal growth. She has the right to walk away, and she has the right to not forgive." After the article was published, the comment section quieted down significantly. But one reader left a message, "Thank you for telling us that it is okay to not forgive." I stared at that sentence for a long time. It was true. Not forgiving is okay. Never looking back is okay. Refusing to be the stepping stone for the redemption of the person who broke you is perfectly okay. That night, I dreamed of my baby. There was no blood in the dream, and no hospital. Just a soft, endless meadow of grass. A little girl stood in the distance, wearing a white dress, holding a yellow balloon. She didn't walk closer. She just waved at me. I wanted to run to her, but I realized I couldn't move. When I woke up, my pillow was soaked. I sat on the edge of my bed for a long time. Finally, I opened my laptop and added a single sentence to the forge of my new book. The things we lose will not return to us, but we can carry our love and keep moving forward. When the second trial concluded, the 2 attackers were sentenced to prison. At the moment the verdict was announced, I sat in the gallery, my palms covered in cold sweat. The female police officer sat next to me and whispered, "It's over." I nodded. But I knew the real ending wasn't the bang of the judge's gavel. The real ending was that I was finally no longer trapping myself in that night. As I walked out of the courthouse, the media swarmed me again. Someone asked,
Miss Lynn, do you hate your ex-husband?
I thought about it. He doesn't matter anymore. The answer stunned the reporter. Hatred would mean he still held a place in my heart. Not mattering at all, that is the cleanest possible ending. A year later, I left Boston. The publishing house was opening a new office in New York, and the editor-in-chief asked if I was willing to relocate to run a new non-coction imprint. I agreed immediately. Before I left, I went back to the neighborhood of my old apartment. The building looked exactly the same. The lights in the underground garage had been replaced, and security cameras were installed outside the fire stairway doors. The property manager recognized me and awkwardly apologized, explaining that they had drastically tightened security since then. I stood in front of that heavy fire door, my fingers lightly brushing the freezing metal handle. I used to think I would never have the courage to come back here again. But in that moment, even though my heart was beating fast, I realized I wasn't falling apart. I was no longer the girl trapped in this stairwell. Before I left the city, I mailed a postcard to Lucas. I didn't sign it. It only had one sentence written on it: "Live well." Whether he received it or not, I didn't know, and it didn't matter. He or not still frebbed in the ration. New York was so much louder than Boston. The subway, the traffic, the crowds, street saxophones, the hiss of espresso machines, and couples still arguing under my window at 2 a.m. During my first week there, the noise woke me up every single day, but I didn't hate it. I would even stand by the window of my apartment, just to listen to the entire city breathing in the dark. I used to be terrified of noise, because noise meant an argument, meant Lucas frowning, me meant a hearing aid being taken off, meant a silent wall crashing down. But now I knew noise isn't a crime. Whether a person is willing to listen is the only answer that matters. The day before my new book launch, Anna called me.
The civil compensation from the attackers has cleared. You mentioned before that you wanted to donate a portion to the aid center. Are you still sure?
I said, yes. She was silent for a couple of seconds, then chuckled.
You've truly moved on, Ava.
I looked out the window at the New York skyline, my eyes stinging slightly. Honestly, I didn't know what it meant to truly move on. Maybe it doesn't mean you feel absolutely no pain, or that you never think about the past again. Maybe it just means I could finally carry my wounds and continue to live. I could eat, I could sleep, I could work, and I could listen to a stranger play the saxophone on a rainy night. I could still feel the ache when I thought of my child, but I wouldn't force myself to stay frozen in that moment forever. On the day of the book launch, a light rain fell over New York. The event was held on the second floor of an independent bookstore. Far more readers showed up than we expected. People were sitting cross-legged in the aisles. When it was my turn to speak, I stepped up to the microphone. I used to be so afraid of microphones. Afraid of being too loud, afraid of being annoying, afraid that every word I said would just become another reason for someone to take off their hearing aid.
If you ever screamed for help and no one heard you, please do not blame yourself. The fault doesn't lie in your voice being too quiet, and it doesn't lie in you not being good enough. The fault lies entirely with the person who was supposed to hear you, but chose to shut the world off instead.
But that day, I heard my own voice echoing clearly through the speakers, filling the entire room. It was clear, steady, and entirely free of tremblers. After the launch ended, a staff member handed me an envelope.
Someone left this at the front counter. Said it was for Ava Lynn.
The envelope had no signature, but I instantly recognized that handwriting as neat and structured as print. Lucas. I didn't open it. By the time I walked out of the bookstore, the rain had stopped. The puddles on the street reflected the neon signs, looking like shattered starlight. I dropped the letter straight into a recycling bin on the sidewalk. It wasn't out of spite, and it wasn't for revenge. It's just that the people of the past shouldn't occupy your new nights. I didn't go home immediately. New York after the rain was brilliant, as if the entire city had been washed clean. A poster for the new book hung in the bookstore window. My name was printed under the author section, not massive, but crystal clear. I stood there and looked at it for a long time. I used to think my entire life would be defined by someone else's last name. Mrs. Hale, Lucas's wife. The person who always waited at home, who was always left behind, who was always put on mute. But now the reflection staring back at me in the glass was Ava Lynn. A complete name. A person who finally belonged entirely to herself.